Title: Inside Los Angeles County Jails, America's Hidden Humanitarian Crisis. Help this channel grow. Like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more stories. This helps us a lot. Thank you. The story begins. The humanitarian crisis. The sound of heavy doors echoes through downtown Los Angeles. The air is thick, metallic, and heavy with a smell that clings: sweat, disinfectant, and something far less sterile. This is the entrance to the Los Angeles County Jail System, the largest network of jails in the United States. But today it's not just a detention center. It's the center of a statewide scandal. In early 2025, California's Attorney General filed a lawsuit against Los Angeles County, a lawsuit that sent shockwaves through the justice system. The state accused its own county of running a humanitarian crisis behind concrete walls. The allegations? Overcrowding, inhumane living conditions, and a shocking disregard for mental health and safety. Step inside the county's main facilities, and the lawsuit's claims become impossible to ignore. Cells meant for 6 people now hold 12. Mattresses line the floors. Some inmates sleep near toilets, heads inches from rusted pipes and peeling paint. The noise never stops: the clanging of metal, the shouts, the cries. Investigators found no clean drinking water in several housing units. In others, toilets overflowed for days. Trash piled up in corners. Showers ran cold, and infestations, rats, roaches, flies, crawled unchecked. But perhaps the most haunting discovery wasn't physical. It was psychological. Nearly half of all detainees in the LA County jail system, almost 50%, live with a mental health condition. Yet, in a place now called America's largest mental institution, there are barely enough medical staff to treat even a fraction of them. Many are confined to cells designed for punishment, not treatment. Locked down, isolated, waiting for help that never comes. A civil rights attorney involved in the case described it simply: these are people who needed care, and instead they got cages. The crisis didn't erupt overnight. For decades, Los Angeles County has faced scrutiny over how it handles incarceration, but the recent lawsuit paints a picture of collapse. Suicides, overdoses, and homicides inside the jails have reached alarming levels. Families of detainees say they often learn of deaths weeks after they happen, through local news, not official notice. At the center of this storm stands Men's Central Jail, an aging facility once described by local officials as a dungeon unfit for human life. Its narrow corridors and crumbling walls hold stories of decades-long neglect. In 2023, the county finally voted to close it, a decision hailed as progress. But closing one building can't erase a culture built on neglect. The question remains: what replaces it? As LA County struggles to reform, its jails remain filled beyond capacity. Booking areas turn into sleeping quarters. Mental health observation rooms double as overflow cells. Deputies, stretched thin, often act as both guards and caregivers, roles no one can sustain. Yet, inside those walls, the truth persists, whispered between inmates, recorded in letters smuggled out, and now echoed in the courtroom. People talk of hunger, fear, and days without sunlight. One detainee described the experience as being buried alive in noise and filth. Los Angeles, a city known for glamour, palm trees, and billion-dollar movie studios, now faces an image it can't edit: its own justice system, exposed under harsh fluorescent lights. The Attorney General's lawsuit marks a turning point, a rare moment where the state turns its lens inward. The message is clear: what's happening inside LA's jails isn't just a legal issue. It's a moral one. But as the legal battle unfolds, thousands still sleep on concrete floors tonight. And for them, justice is not a promise. It's a dream they might not live to see. The mental health breakdown. The human mind isn't built for confinement. Not like this. In Los Angeles County jails, mental illness has become the invisible epidemic. Inside the same walls where overcrowding and neglect dominate headlines, a quieter, more devastating tragedy unfolds every single day. A mental health crisis so deep that experts now call these jails the largest psychiatric institution in the United States. Nearly 49% of all detainees in LA County suffer from diagnosed mental health conditions. That's over 6,000 human beings, men and women, living in cells instead of clinics, surrounded not by nurses but by guards. The line between punishment and treatment has blurred beyond recognition. The lawsuit filed by California's Attorney General doesn't just describe unsanitary conditions. It describes psychological collapse. Inmates in psychiatric distress left naked in their cells. Men screaming through the night, untreated and unheard. Officers forced to handle medical crises without proper training. In one court affidavit, a deputy recounted finding a man in a crisis cell who hadn't eaten in days. His clothes were soaked, his body frail, and his eyes vacant. When medical staff finally arrived, they were overwhelmed, one psychiatrist for dozens of patients. "We're not running a mental health unit," one worker admitted. "We're running triage." This is the reality behind the steel doors of Twin Towers Correctional Facility, officially designated as the county's mental health jail. On paper, it's supposed to be a place of recovery. In practice, it's a pressure cooker of untreated trauma. Inside Twin Towers, detainees line up for medication under the watch of correctional officers instead of doctors. Cells double as therapy rooms. Those who experience breakdowns are sometimes restrained, sedated, or placed in solitary for safety. But isolation, experts say, often pushes fragile minds past the edge. Across LA's jails, suicides have skyrocketed, many occurring within days of intake. Inmates with schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or severe depression are often booked into facilities already bursting at the seams. With no beds left in psychiatric wards, jails have become the dumping ground for the state's failures in mental health care. One former detainee described his experience in a letter to his sister. "I told them I needed help. They told me to calm down. When I couldn't, they chained me to the bench." These are not isolated incidents. They are symptoms of a system that confuses illness with defiance. Correctional officers, overworked and undertrained, are tasked with maintaining order among men and women in psychosis. Every crisis becomes a security issue, not a medical emergency. Even when detainees receive medication, it's often delayed or mismanaged. Reports detail cases of expired drugs, lost prescriptions, and missed doses leading to violent outbursts or self-harm. The Men's Central Jail, the oldest and deadliest facility in Los Angeles County, stands as the most tragic symbol of this collapse. Built in 1963, its concrete walls were never designed to hold thousands with mental health needs. Yet, for decades, it has been exactly that. Officials themselves have called it a dungeon, a word no one uses lightly. Fluorescent lights flicker across endless rows of barred cells. The air smells of bleach and despair. For years, suicide attempts here occurred almost weekly. In 2023, the county voted to close Men's Central Jail, a move celebrated by activists and families who lost loved ones there. But as one reform advocate told the Los Angeles Times, closing the building won't close the problem. The county's challenge now is where to send the people inside, not just the violent offenders but the thousands suffering from untreated mental illness. Many of them shouldn't be in jail at all. They need hospitals, not handcuffs. Meanwhile, conditions persist. Deputies continue to work double shifts in facilities meant for half the population they now hold. Psychologists rotate between dozens of inmates per day, trying to provide care in 15-minute windows that barely scratch the surface. Every report, every image, every witness account tells the same story. Los Angeles County isn't rehabilitating, it's breaking people. By the time many detainees are released, their conditions have worsened beyond repair. Some can't speak coherently. Others are too traumatized to re-enter society. The cycle continues: arrest, detain, deteriorate, repeat. The Attorney General's lawsuit called it a moral failure on a systemic level. And it's hard to disagree. Because inside LA's jails, people aren't just losing their freedom, they're losing their sanity. In the heart of one of America's most glamorous cities, surrounded by movie studios and billion-dollar skyscrapers, human beings are breaking apart in silence. They are invisible to the world outside, until the day they're gone. And when the doors finally open, they don't walk out healed. They walk out haunted. The collapse of California's prison system. As Los Angeles County faces lawsuits and public outrage, the crisis extends far beyond its city limits. Across California, the state prison system, once touted as one of the most advanced correctional networks in the nation, is unraveling under the weight of its own contradictions. For decades, the state promised rehabilitation. What it delivered instead was a system built on overcrowding, neglect, and survival. A system in crisis. In July 2025, a violent incident at California State Prison, Los Angeles County, shattered any illusion of stability. 2 correctional officers were attacked in an attempted homicide by an inmate using a makeshift weapon, triggering lockdowns across multiple units. The Department of Corrections called it an isolated event, but insiders knew better. It was a symptom of a deeper sickness. Whispers from inside the prison told of growing tension. Overcrowded dorms, fewer staff, longer lockdowns. and a culture of silence that discouraged officers from speaking out about safety risks. Inmates, deprived of mental health care and driven by desperation, often lash out at the only authority figures they see, the guards. Many of these assaults are preventable, advocates say, if the state prioritized treatment over punishment. But prevention takes resources, something California's prisons have been cutting for years. Closures in a failing system. In a twist of irony, California is now closing several of its prisons, not because conditions have improved, but because the inmate population is shrinking. On paper, this looks like progress. Fewer prisoners, lower costs, and a chance to redirect funding. The state has already shuttered facilities in Susanville, Tracy, and California City, and officials say more closures are coming by 2026. Governor Gavin Newsom's administration projects that closing these prisons will save hundreds of millions of dollars. Money that could, theoretically, be reinvested in rehabilitation and community programs. But reform advocates are skeptical. They warn that closing buildings doesn't fix broken systems. Many of the same issues, understaffing, poor healthcare, violence, and neglect, still plague the facilities that remain open. For those still incarcerated, the daily reality hasn't changed. Cells remain overcrowded. Meals remain inadequate. And medical neglect continues to claim lives behind the walls of a system still haunted by its past. A former corrections nurse described it bluntly. They don't need more walls, they need more humanity. The culture of impunity. At the heart of California's prison problem lies a culture of impunity, a system where accountability is scarce and silence is rewarded. For decades, lawsuits, whistleblower reports, and human rights investigations have accused the Department of Corrections of turning a blind eye to abuse, both by staff and inmates. One 2022 internal audit found that hundreds of complaints of misconduct were dismissed without proper review. In some facilities, surveillance cameras conveniently malfunctioned during violent incidents. In others, reports of medical neglect were buried under paperwork for months. The Office of the Inspector General called the situation a pattern of systemic denial. For many incarcerated people, that denial is a death sentence. Families on the outside are left searching for answers. They receive letters months late or not at all. They call for information about their loved ones only to hear, "We can't discuss ongoing investigations." Behind these bureaucratic walls, human suffering is reduced to policy language, incidents, isolations, administrative actions. But to the people inside, it's pain, hunger, and fear. The price of neglect. California spends over $14 billion a year on its prison system. That's more than the state spends on higher education. Yet, despite this staggering budget, the results are grim. Rising suicide rates, untreated mental illness, and recidivism that traps people in an endless cycle. The problem isn't just money, it's misdirection. Funds meant for rehabilitation often end up covering security, overtime pay, and private contractor fees. Meanwhile, vocational programs, therapy, and education, the very tools proven to reduce reoffending, are the first to be cut. In the words of one former warden, "We're spending billions to build broken people, not rebuild lives." Men's Central Jail and the symbol of failure. Back in Los Angeles, the ghost of Men's Central Jail looms large. The county voted to close it, but years later, the doors still haven't fully shut. Legal disputes, bureaucratic delays, and political hesitation keep the facility alive. A decaying reminder of everything wrong with incarceration in California. Its corridors remain a living metaphor. The smell of mildew, the constant noise, the shadows that move through the flickering light. Every cell tells a story of someone failed by the system long before they ever entered it. The human cost. In one particularly harrowing moment during the state's lawsuit against Los Angeles County, a mother testified about her son's death inside the jail. He had been placed on suicide watch after showing signs of mental distress. He never received therapy. Days later, he was found unresponsive in his cell. Her voice trembled as she spoke. He wasn't a monster. He was sick. He needed help. Instead, they let him die. Her testimony silenced the courtroom. Even the state attorney struggled to maintain composure. Because for all the reports and legal filings, nothing captures the depth of this crisis more than the pain of those left behind. A state at a crossroads. California now stands at a crossroads, between reform and regression, between compassion and cruelty. Governor Newsom has spoken publicly about ending the death penalty and expanding rehabilitation programs, signaling a move toward humane justice. But at the same time, the system beneath him continues to crack. Activists demand transparency. Families demand accountability. And yet, year after year, the cycle repeats. Headlines fade, promises are made, and the walls stay the same. The final question. Every society reveals its values and how it treats its most powerless. By that measure, California, a state celebrated for progress and innovation, faces a moral reckoning. What does justice mean when clean water, safety, and dignity become privileges instead of rights? Inside these prisons and jails, people are not just paying for crimes. They're paying for a broken system that forgot how to be human. The Attorney General's lawsuit might bring headlines today, but the real story lives behind locked doors, where every night, thousands of Californians lie awake in overcrowded cells, wondering if anyone still remembers they exist. The truth is uncomfortable. The truth is tragic. And the truth is this: California's prison system isn't just punishing its inmates, it's punishing itself.